Welcome to Taking Care of Lady Business, where we put the business back in lady business. Hosted by Jennifer Justice, founder and CEO of the Justice Department, a management, strategy, and law firm that works with female and woke male entrepreneurs, executives, talent, brands, and creatives to build and maximize their wealth, focusing in the areas of tech, consumer product, finance, media, entertainment, and fashion. Jennifer interviews entrepreneurial women who have done it all, who will be sharing their secrets on all things business, especially as a woman. These highly successful women will share strategies and insights, including what not to do and what it takes to win. And now, here's your host, Jennifer Justice.
Hi, this is JJ, the host of this podcast, Taking Care of Lady Business. If you're here, you know my passion for making women rich. Did you know that men are 4 times more likely than women to negotiate their compensation packages? And that women are leaving about $1.5 million on the table by the time they're 60 by not negotiating? That's a lot of money, and I want it to stop. So I'm launching a course called Be the Boss of Your Career to show you how to get what you deserve. Our first live session is May 3rd, so go to www.thejusticedept.com to sign up for more information. I look forward to seeing you there and helping you get rich. Thanks to MedJet for supporting the Lady Business podcast. If you're hospitalized or your security is threatened while traveling, they can get you home. I'm a MedJet member and have been for years. Everyone who travels should be. Enroll before your next trip at medjet.com. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Taking Care of Lady Business. I am Jennifer Justice. Today, we have Samantha Miller. She's the co-founder and CEO of Cadence Health. Hi, Samantha.
Hello, Jennifer. Great to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here today because it is such a timely topic. And well, let me back up. Cadence Health and what they do, you will see, is just making strides in, women's reproductive health. And given the timeliness of everything that's been going on in this country, seeing ways to help women have equality and freedom over their bodies, but doing it in a commercial way is so innovative instead of like, oh, let's just beg people to give to charitable organizations. So I'm excited about our whole topic. So let's start by talking about Cadence Health and what it does.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're actually now calling the company Cadence OTC to emphasize our focus on over-the-counter healthcare because, over-the-counter healthcare is outside of the realm of all of these regulations and restrictions and authorities, and it's really in the hands of people. So that's what we're all about, is getting reproductive healthcare in the hands of people and not behind barriers. We started solely with the focus of bringing the regular birth control pill over the counter. The pill has been available for 60 years, and it's been used safely by hundreds of millions of women, of course. And there has been a lot of pressure and interest amongst medical groups and public health groups to make this an over-the-counter medication. But because of industry regulations and barriers, it hasn't been done before, and because of political barriers as well. Mm-hmm. So we overcame a major barrier in order to start the process. And that was the big idea that started Cadence OTC, whereby I was able to acquire 2 of the most popular and safest birth control pills from a large pharma company. And that was a breakthrough that allowed us to start the process with FDA. You cannot start the process with a new product or a generic product. You have to have the rights to an established prescription product, and it should be one of the safest in the class. Those rights were held by only 4 companies globally. So acquiring those products got us started, and we've been working very closely with FDA for 7 years on a long, complex regulatory process that they call first-in-class RX to OTC switch. Mm-hmm. And that opens the door for the whole class to go over the counter eventually. And we will have 3 years of market exclusivity for the pain and expense that we are going through right now.
So why were you guys so interested in doing this? I know that there's a quote, and I'm going to have you say it, that I think is just fascinating.
Yes. So that's important to talk about. Really, it's the idea of Malcolm Potts, and this is a legend in the field of family planning. Malcolm Potts is an obstetrician and a British obstetrician. He was the first medical director of International Planned Parenthood. He has dedicated his entire life to reducing unintended pregnancy. What an incredible cause. And that's really been his focus. And he's done that in a lot of different ways. He was then a professor at UC Berkeley. And what he liked to say is that the last thing I want to do before I die is get the birth control pill over the counter, because there's a lot of research and evidence that says that if you remove that prescription barrier, make it over the counter, make it affordable, great distribution, that this will make a big difference in reducing unintended pregnancy. And that was his life goal. So he's the one that got this started. He brought in a wonderful colleague of his named Dr. Nat Hosang, who is also an obstetrician and also a family planning expert. So together they wanted to achieve this, and yet they didn't have the experience in the pharmaceutical industry. And so they brought me in as an experienced pharma entrepreneur, small pharma entrepreneur. And I also had a lot of experience doing deals with big pharma. So when they told me that almost half of pregnancies are unintended in the US today, I was really shocked. I was thinking it was maybe 20%. And as soon as they told me it was that high, the consequences and the repercussions of that just hit me like a brick, and I wanted to help. So even though my plate was entirely full at that time, I jumped in and started trying to acquire these products.
That's amazing. I think the one quote I was thinking of, though, too, isn't he the one who said, it'll be a good day when cigarettes are by prescription and birth control's over the counter? Am I messing it up?
No, that's the quote from Malcolm Potts,
Yeah.
Reader Digest, 1969. It would be a benefit to humanity if cigarettes were by prescription and birth control was in vending machines.
That's amazing. And here we are 50 some years later, and we still don't have that. And people can go buy cigarettes on the street, as well as vape pens, everything else. And this is a drug that has been around for 60 years. And it's so well known. And they're putting like 13-year-olds on it when they get their period. It's like, yeah. So, all right. So you have the birth control pill. Like, so what is this FDA approval like? Is it common to have it last 7 years?
Other first-in-class switches have been known to take up to 10 years. And, we recently had the first-in-class switch of the mini pill, the progestin only pill, and that did take 8 years, even though that's a more simple medication than the regular birth control pill, which is combined estrogen and progesterone. So it's going through what FDA has put us through. The hoops and hurdles have been really, really interesting. We have to keep a good sense of humor about it. The process itself is challenging in the sense that we need to take all the information that's in the physician package insert, and we need to translate it into information that a regular consumer can understand, low literacy consumers, and in this case, young, very young consumers can understand and really can make decisions based on the contraindications. There's a few contraindications for the birth control pill that are rare in reproductive age women, but they're still important. And so we've been working on this labeling, which is on the back of the box, and it's a booklet inside the box, and it's even on the front of the box. And in developing this, we're constantly checking with FDA, getting their input, and then testing with consumers, and then changing. FDA and consumers. So it's a very iterative process. We have our packaging and labeling is performing very, very well in communicating with consumers now. In fact, I think they learn more. Even consumers that have been on the pill for a long time learn a lot by looking at our package. So we're communicating well, and we think that we're getting close to final alignment with FDA. And then we'll need to do the final definitive trial, which is the actual use trial with 1,800 women.
Mm-hmm. That sounds very tedious, but obviously all for a good cause. And then
Yes.
what about like, and I don't want to get into politics or anything like in depth, but it's like, knowing that abortion is under attack, et cetera, like where does that fall in putting birth control out in different states? How does that work when there's certain Republican states who don't even want you to have IVF?
Well, it makes it more important.
Yeah.
It makes prevention of pregnancy all that more important. And there are some extremist groups that just believe in abstinence, therefore we shouldn't need, contraception at all. But that's a relatively small group. Of course, as we know in politics lately, small groups can make a big influence.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's still a concern. So the other thing that Cadence is doing while we're continuing this long process with FDA, which is now progressing well, we have formed a commercial organization in order to increase access to reproductive health products that are already over the counter, but they're not distributed well. They're not distributed in every area, and they're too expensive. So we have our own emergency contraceptive that we call morning after pill. And this product is so important to get into restrictive states. Restrictive states have a lot of rural areas and small towns where there's not even a drugstore.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have access to the emergency contraceptive in places where it's the most important to have access to the emergency contraceptive. So we believe that we can solve that problem and get it into every area in every restrictive state. And we have formed a partnership, an exclusive partnership with really the major distributor for convenience stores. And we are together bringing the morning after pill to convenience stores. And we've already...
Currently it's not there.
No, the convenience stores have never sold emergency contraceptive. It's really sold at the large chain pharmacies. So Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and Walmart are more than 90% of ECs are there. And then there's some, of course, in some independent pharmacies. But if you don't have one of those large chain stores or even a pharmacy in your neighborhood, you can't find it. And with the emergency contraceptive, timing is crucial. Hours matter. The sooner you take it, the better it works. The packaging says use it up to 72 hours, but the efficacy of it declines every hour that you wait. So you want to be able to grab it either that night or on the way to work, on the way to bring your kid to school. You need to be able to get it. So that's why fast, easy access and convenience stores is so important for that product. And convenience stores are everywhere. There's over 150,000 of them. They're in every neighborhood. They're open long hours. They should be carrying emergency products, right?
Yeah.
And many of them agree and see the wisdom of them carrying these products and being there for women at the time that they need it. So our launch is going well. We're really excited about it.
So talk about first let's talk about the population that was underserved. Because when I heard this, I was shocked. How many people and women just don't even have access to a morning after pill because they don't have a CVS or Duane Reade in all rural areas like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is 7,000 zip codes that do not have easy access to EC, do not have one of these large chain pharmacies. And there's 23 million women of reproductive age that live in those 7,000 zip codes. So this is a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. So now what people need to understand and know that you can get them at 7-Eleven, Circle K. I mean, it's crazy to think that you couldn't in the first place, but now they're available.
Right. So we're really starting with 7-Eleven. So that's the rollout that's happening now. And Circle K will come next. And then we have some smaller chains that are coming on board as well. We're even getting them into some airports right now.
Amazing. So is that nationwide? Like my local 7-Eleven
Yes.
in New York, I can go get?
It is. It is nationwide, and it's important to note that on our website, we have a store finder. The store finder is up to date today. It's going to be maintained up to date, so you can put in your zip code and you can see exactly which stores in your area are carrying morning after pill.
And when did you guys launch this?
We just launched it. There's a space between our distribution partner receiving it, repackaging it for individual stores, and then pushing it out to regional wholesalers and local distributors. So we started selling to them at the first of the year, and we started showing up on shelf at the beginning of March, at the beginning of this month. We are now in about 800 stores nationwide and more stores every day.
That's
Every day.
incredible.
Yeah.
And then what about like the comparison and like price, et cetera? Because isn't the morning after pill like in the Dwayne Reed stuff, isn't it in the 40s or 50s? It's expensive.
Yeah, so Plan B is very much the dominant brand, and Plan B is between 50 and close to 60 in some areas, so between 50 and $60. And then there are some private brands, private label brands that are generally between 40 and 45. And that's been the pricing. It's really held steady. So our pricing is half of Plan B. So we'll be about $24, $25 in the convenience stores. And that was our goal, to be half the price of the leading brand.
Well, affordable because you need to be in these, if you're in these rural areas where people don't have access to pharmacies, like, they're taking time off of work usually to drive hours, like, and then, having, using the gas money to get there and $60, it's like expensive. So giving them an affordable option of something that they absolutely need and want at a very timely, in a very timely manner is so important.
Right. So they don't have to miss work to go find it, and they don't need to delay taking it.
So I think there's a lot of confusion though too around the difference between the morning after pill and an abortion pill. Can you talk a little bit
Mhm.
about that? People ask me
Yeah.
that all the time, all the time.
We hear that as well. It's really important for people to understand that the morning after pill it's a rather benign medication. It's just made up of progesterone, and it's the form of progesterone that's in the regular birth control pill. In fact, it's the safest form of progesterone, called levonorgestrel. And that's all it is. It's just levonorgestrel, which is one of the hormones in the regular birth control pill. It's at a higher dose. So it's really very safe, and it's not going to impact your ability to get pregnant later. It's not going to interfere with your regular birth control if you have one. So the abortion pill is something unique and interesting. That's mifepristone. So mifepristone that's what you would take within the first couple months to end a pregnancy,
Mhm.
whereas the morning after pill won't have any effect on an existing pregnancy. So if the egg has already been fertilized and is on its way to implantation, it will not have any effect on that.
So the morning after pill stops fertilization.
Yes, it does. It stops fertilization by delaying the egg,
Okay.
or stopping the egg.
Right. Right. So
Mhm.
yeah, there's a big misconception there. And so many people are like ask about, the availability, et cetera. And now it's like it's available in 800 stores as of today.
Today, that was last week.
And so, how are you getting the word out about this, right? This is like something that's difficult to like, just let everybody know. You know what I mean? It's like you're not going to go down the street and like, hey, do you know you can get the morning after pill at 7-Eleven,
That's the challenge, Jennifer. Exactly. We're a small company, we're a public benefits company. We don't have a big budget like a big pharma does. So we're trying to be creative and we're trying to bring in our whole community of supporters that we've developed over the years that have been supporting our OTC switch for the pill, and they have their networks, and we're really trying to lean on our supporters to spread the word in their networks, and they tell two friends, etc. So there's that. And then we're also doing, very high tech advertising in the sense that we are, using the available technology to do digital advertising that's targeted to the demographic and to the area where the stores are. So we're kind of circling the stores with digital advertising. And then if someone searches for an emergency contraceptive, then we know that they need it. So we then tell them where they can find it at a convenience store.
Amazing. All right. So what else is Cadence OTC? What other OTC products are we going to start seeing on the shelf other than the birth control and morning after? What's the future?
Yeah, so our next product that is coming up very, very soon, next month actually, is our ultra sensitive early pregnancy test. And that's important to go along with the morning after pill. Many times people want to buy them together and make sure that it worked and just, have that comfort that they're not pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So that product is going to be launching next month online, and then we'll start moving it into convenience stores as quickly as we can to sit right next to the morning after pill.
Why do you think, so early detection, how early can you find out?
6 days before your expected period.
Okay.
And this particular test has some of the highest accuracy available. And we are able to sell it at half the price of the leading brand.
Mm-hmm.
Again, so that will be $8 and something. So it's really affordable to buy.
So cheap.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. I mean, the truth is that these technologies have really become very inexpensive to manufacture.
Yeah.
Manufactured at huge scale, right? Because people need so much of it. And it's inexpensive to manufacture. So we still can be a financially healthy, growing company while offering these prices.
So it also helps with these states that still allow abortion, but like barely in the first, it's like so limited in the length of time that you have, right?
Well, that's right. You need to take pregnancy tests more frequently in that situation. Mm-hmm.
These are all awesome. I can't wait for all three of them to be out. But, I think
we do have two more products in the pipeline.
Let's talk about them.
I'll have to save for our next podcast.
Oh, okay. We're going to save those. But, can we talk a little bit about a special benefits company and what that is? I think that's, a lot of people don't quite understand it. And I've learned a lot about it just recently as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the better known entity is the B Corp certification, and that's not the same as a legal public benefits corp. B Corp certification is like organic certification, where you're certified by a particular entity, a non-profit entity. We are a public benefits corp, which means that that's our legal status in Delaware. And that means that in our corporate charter, we have our social benefit goals hand in hand with our financial goals and our shareholder value goals. So everyone that invests in Cadence really signs on to this double bottom line, whereby they want us to achieve the social benefits that we're promising, as well as maximize shareholder value. So it really puts the pressure on us to, walk our talk and measure our social benefit.
That attracts different kinds of investors, right? As well.
Yeah, absolutely. All of our investors are social impact investors. So we have a lot of impact VC, small impact VC, a lot of family offices that are following their purpose with their investments. and angels and even some leading foundations.
So this product, right? So that so people like actually care and follow this mission and vision. And this product that you just put out, though, is the first one that's actually making money for the company in a way that can totally change the trajectory. But, even if you're making a ton of money on this, that doesn't help in any kind of FDA approval or anything like that. It's like, those processes take the same amount of time no matter what, right?
That's correct. You cannot rush that with money. That's for sure.
Or, brand reputation, anything like that, about going over the counter. But also, what about the change, any kind of change of government, right? With these FDA approvals, like people shift around if, another president wins and different cabinet people are, are put in place. How does that affect any of these FDA approvals?
Theoretically, it doesn't. The FDA is an independent medical organization that is not controlled by politics and not controlled by the executive branch. However, they do report into Health and Human Services, which is an executive branch organization. And it has happened in the past that there has been some political interference in the past, and in fact has gone to court over that in the past. We hope that that does not happen in this case. However, we're always thinking about how we would respond and sensitive to that possibility.
Yeah, I think we've all seen a few of the movies where it happened, right?
Yeah, there are stories.
There's some of these movies that are coming out, which is why I
Oh, yes, there's that. Yes.
Yes, there are a few
Mhm.
movies. But I mean, isn't it true? And I've heard this, you can tell me if it's true or not, that this is really a bipartisan, like it has equal support in Republicans and Democrats, which is so interesting given how Republicans are viewing, abortion, et cetera.
It is a bipartisan issue. I think they see that bringing common popular medicines over the counter saves the government money.
Yeah.
And it's also important that these products, these OTC products that are so fundamental, receive insurance reimbursement. And I think that they will eventually, probably soon, receive insurance reimbursement because it is the right economic case for the insurance company. When things go OTC, the prices come down. And of course, it's preventing an unintended pregnancy, which is very expensive for an insurance company. So I do believe that they will be covered. It's just working out the mechanics of it is tricky with these old systems. The part that would change with a new government is that the current administration is looking to mandate insurance coverage for over-the-counter contraceptives for public and private insurance. And I think a new administration would throw that out.
That's crazy. I never even thought about that. Yeah. It's like if I get an allergy medicine from my allergist versus a Zyrtec, it doesn't get reimbursed. But then thinking about that given, all the restrictions, et cetera, in different states, so, over abortion or family planning in general, or reproductive health, yeah, having that opportunity to get it back. Because I know my C-section with my twins was definitely around $50,000, in a New York City hospital that obviously I did not pay because I have insurance. So yes, reimbursing $25 or, your whatever the birth control pill will cost, Are you talking about all family planning, like even like the morning after pill or?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
reimbursing $25 is a lot better than the 50,000.
Well, yes, and it's a lot better than right, caring for an unintended pregnancy, a birth, et cetera, and all of the, all that can go wrong for women. I mean, many women that are on the birth control pill are on it because it's actually dangerous for them to get pregnant.
Right. True. Good point. I mean, this is all amazing, but you started out like when you became a co-founder, like, and you wanted to get on board here as a woman, like, how has this whole process been in big pharma for you? knowing all the stats that we know about so few women in C-suite, raising money, and how hard it is for us. I know you have two male co-founders, but still.
Yes, and it's just one of my co-founders that is actually part of the management of the company. Now, Posang has been an amazing partner for me, and we work so well together. So that's been great. And we do have women leadership in our company. Our head of commercial, our head of operations, our head of regulatory are all women. Half of our board is women. So that's really integral to who we are. Do I still face what I perceive as some bias? Yes, I do. Absolutely. And it's discouraging in this day and age that, that's still there. The fundraising was easier at the beginning, even though we really didn't go to traditional funders. We didn't go to traditional pharma funders because of our dedication to being a mission-driven public benefits corp. We were able to raise the money we needed for the first half of the company. Since then, it has been more challenging because the process is taking longer. And it's ironic right now that we're actually in a better position with FDA on the OTC switch than we have been since the beginning. Right. And we're in a really strong position with our commercial launch. And yet we have some investor fatigue from, many of the people that are so dedicated to this, really can't put in yet more money. So we do need to find new investors is the bottom line. And that's why we are expanding our network, and we've launched a WeFunder campaign, which is exciting because it's actually a strategy for increasing awareness of the company, increasing awareness of our commercial products in convenience stores, and really widens our net at the same time as filling a gap with our financing. So our current financing, we've already raised more than half of it. We do have a gap to close it. And we're hoping WeFunder can fill that gap at the same time as really creating a new army of supporters and advocates.
Yeah, I think it's really just about getting the word out there, because WeFunder, what's the minimum that you have to put in to do the WeFunder campaign?
$250. That's the beauty of it, is that they're really democratizing participation and inequity. So, it's great to have so many people be able to own a piece, and, it's just a very easy and flexible system. So we're excited about it.
Yeah, and it definitely will help get the word out there. And people, you can become an investor for only $250, and you don't have to go through all of the same accreditation process. They measure you by what you can afford to do, and then you're part of literally making history, right? It's doing the things and getting it out there to women who actually need it so they can have control over their reproductive health and their family planning, et cetera. So I mean, I have been an investor since 2020 in Cadence. OTC, for people who don't know, means over the counter. I try to explain all the little terms, you know what I mean? Because not everybody knows all this, and sometimes there's stuff I hear all the time and I still have to go look it up. I'm like, what does that mean again? So OTC means all over the counter. So, being able to get these things and also a commercial company where you could possibly make money on it. That's amazing.
Absolutely. There's lots of upside here.
Yeah.
And they're getting the same terms as the big investors.
Yeah. I love it. I'm excited to be a part of it. And I'm excited to, that you are here today to talk about all of these extremely important products and initiatives that you all have, and that we have a woman like you leading it, that has literally seen it inside and out, and you're so experienced in doing it. So to be able to do that kind of work, it's amazing putting it all together. If people want to find Cadence, how do they do that? If they want to buy the product, if they want to buy the WeFunder, et cetera, how do they do that?
We're easy to find on the web, cadenceotc.com. And then we're newly on all the social channels. I mean, we've been in kind of in stealth mode for many years. So we're really coming out. We're doing social media for the first time. And so we're on, as Cadence OTC on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and LinkedIn. So easy to find us now, hopefully.
I love it. Okay, so one last question before we let you go and continue on the fight for reproductive justice. What is the worst advice that you've ever received?
Yeah, I give this a little thought, and it's pretty clear to me that the worst advice I've ever received, which is something I fear other people receive as well. When I was a young professional just coming out of college, I got the advice that, I was very purpose-driven at that time and kind of idealistic. And I got the advice that I should focus on making money first, drive my career towards making money, put my purpose aside, and then once I've made a lot of money, come back to it. And I thought about that and I realized I couldn't do that I needed my work, my everyday, the way I spend my time to be meaningful to me. And that was more important. And that's just played out because I've seen other friends kind of take the opposite approach where they thought that they could make a lot of money and then morph their career to be nonprofit or, something that was more meaningful to them. And yet that never happened because as you get a house, you get kids, and then you get trapped in a certain, way of life. So anyway, it's just a plug for try to combine your purpose with your work.
Well, and it makes it so much easier to show up every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love it. Well, you've done a great job at it, that's for sure. And probably end up with a shit ton of cash too at the end, honestly, which is well deserved.
Yeah, it's a harder path in a lot of ways, but it's worth it. And you can still do well by doing it.
I mean, we see all of these men who've made far too much money and then what they do with it. You know what I mean? It's like, what other toy, what other ridiculous company can I, something, you know what I mean? So it's all good. Everyone has their journey. If you live it with purpose and passion, might not be as overnight, but that's okay. Right?
That's right.
It's part of it. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been awesome. I'm such a fan of everything that you all do and your company. And, I can't wait to see it grow and grow, which it's, exponentially. And everyone get the word out there that you can get the morning after or basically a morning after pill at 7-Eleven. Your local 7-Eleven.
That's it. And more to come.
And more to come.
And, Jennifer, I so appreciate the conversation and I so appreciate your long-term involvement in Cadence OTC and your ongoing support.
Thank you. All right, to everyone listening, thank you for listening to this episode of Taking Care of Lady Business. Until next time, I'm Jennifer Justice.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com.